Self-firing handguns can actually be really useful. Works like butter even on the hands of a newbie. But they're also really dangerous and can often make people hurt themselves. So in today's video, we will look at the 7 extremely dangerous self-firing handguns. One gun on this list is actually extremely dangerous, and a lot of people do not even realize this, as almost everyone has this gun in their collection. Stick to the end to see which one it is. Number 7. Rifle Remington 700. An accurate manual bolt-action reloading rifle whose first almost 1.5 million copies manufactured, however, was affected by a major safety flaw that caused the rifle to fire when the safety was disengaged without the need to pull its trigger. Apparently, absent in many of the weapons of these first batches but prevalent in what seemed to be the vast majority of them, this dangerous design defect was typical of the X-Mark Pro firing mechanism of the said rifle and led Remington to offer a voluntary upgrade for the 1.3 million copies that they had been manufactured until April 2014. However, it was reported that only a quarter of these rifles were taken to the manufacturer to be fixed, so it is currently estimated that approximately 975,000 Remington 700 rifles with this defect are still on the market. Identified and serviced by Remington after several videos showing the outside pub published on YouTube, and from which in theory every rifle of this model manufactured from mid-2014 onwards should be completely free. Interestingly enough though, people still really enjoy using the Remington 700, and most people know about it as a good gun. 6. Single-action revolvers. The older models of this type of handgun, such as the classic Coach single-action army revolver and similar ones, as well as all those modern variants that have mechanisms without a firing pin safety, can be accidentally fired when struck by the hammer in the event that the drum contains a cartridge in its upper chamber. This is because in these models there is no intermediate component between the hammer, the needle, and the ammunition that prevents them from accidentally making contact even when the trigger is not activated, unlike most modern revolvers which have safety systems such as the positive hammer or transfer bar that block the passage of the firing pin into the cartridge until the user manually fires the weapon. In the American Wild West, it was universally known that revolvers should not be carried with a cartridge inside a breech aligned with a hammer, as any unintentional blow to this component while working, running, or moving in any other way as it could result in an accidental shot and a severed leg or foot. Number 5. Type 4 Nambu Pistol. A Japanese short weapon from World War II that, although was popular among the soldiers of that nation in part because of its relative comfort when fired, it also had several design flaws, and among other things, some of its components were so fragile that they could easily break when disarming the weapon during a routine cleaning process. But without a doubt, its most dangerous defect was the fact that it could be fired without having to pull its trigger. You will see once the Type 94 housed a cartridge inside its chamber, it was enough to hit it or press it firmly on one of its sides so that its firing mechanism was activated. A lethal flaw that could either cause a soldier to shoot himself in the foot, or accidentally end the life of one of his companions by drawing the pistol, or simply by carrying it and inadvertently reloading. Damn. Number 4. SKS Semi-Automatic Carbine. A very well-known tool of war that is still in service today, designed by the Soviet Union in 1945 for the 7.62 by 39mm cartridge that would later be used in the AK-47 assault rifle, and that, at least in the United States, has ended accidentally, killed several civilian shooters. Powerful, accurate, and durable, the SKS, however, features a springless or floating firing pin design that allows it to move freely within the bolt of the weapon, and is therefore prone to striking the primer of any ammunition in the chamber when the rifle is reloaded, which can cause an accidental discharge of the slam-fire type when the bolt is pushed quickly and firmly forward to close the chamber. Rather less commonly but still possible examples of SKS with particularly sensitive or warrant safety, they can be activated after suffering a firm blow or strong accidental jolt, thus discharging a shot in anyone whatever the direction in which the carbine is pointing at that moment. An effective combat and hunting instrument that, however, requires a good level of familiarization by the shooter with the particularities of its mechanism in order to be used in a completely safe manner, otherwise can represent a latent danger for himself and for those around him. 3. Taurus PT 24/7 DS Pistol. A weapon that theoretically should be a safe instrument of combat and personal defense, because in addition to having a conventional external safety, it also had various internal mechanisms designed to prevent the gun from being fired by accident mainly in the event of a fall. Unfortunately, almost none of these safeties worked at all, and of the 98,000 copies sold to the military police of the state of Sao Paulo in Brazil, it was found that several could be fired even with a safety on and without the need to activate the trigger, either by a fall or worse still, simply by being shaken. That resulted in the return of those same 98,000 weapons to Taurus to find a solution. Sued for allegedly having hidden these manufacturing defects in the tests of the weapon, the company had to pay $39 million in compensation and extended warranties. Now, hear us out. We are huge Taurus fans. I mean, we always recommend them to you guys. This was just a one-time tiny fluke. Number 2. Sig Sauer P320. According to CNN reports, when this weapon was about to be accepted into service by the United States military in 2016, military tests revealed that if dropped at a certain angle, the P320 would fire itself. A fault that the manufacturer follows. Sauer quickly patched up the military variant of the pistol before releasing more examples to the military. The problem was that for months afterward, the unfixed commercial version of the gun was sold without restriction to countless police departments and civilians across the country, until that several officers began to report that their weapons fired on their own when dropped or when being strongly jolted when drawn, for example. Most prominently tested in civilian market by YouTube channels Omaha Authors Controls and 10BTV in 2017, the P320 demonstrated that by then several versions of them still showed said failure when falling to the ground or even being hit with moderate force. After this, Sig Sauer offered a voluntary upgrade for all affected P320 pistols, but as happened with the Remington 700 rifle to date, not all defective copies have been fixed. Of course, in theory, any P320 pistol manufactured from 2018 onwards should appear to have such a dangerous defect, with improvements of the military version M17 having been applied to civilian variants from that year. It's crazy because after it had been patched up, this gun is arguably one of the best handguns in the world, so go figure. And at number 1, Inter-Ornals Rifles. Also known as IO, the American manufacturer Inter-Ornals has a product portfolio made up mainly of good quality AR-15 rifles, as well as certain models of shotguns and hunting rifles. However, until a few years ago, this company still manufactured some of the worst rifles of AK-47 type assault on the market that had endless problems due to a very poor manufacturing process and even worse quality control that were known to fail in the strangest ways when used. For example, there are testimonials from people who managed to fire the said weapons in full automatic mode only by placing them on their side without even touching the trigger, something extremely dangerous and potentially lethal. For example, you say you simply try to show the weapon to your friends at the shooting range and end up with an unintentional burst of tens of shots directed at wherever the cannon is currently pointing as well. What places these disastrous rifles in the number 1 position is the fact that one thing is that a weapon releases a single shot due to failure, and another very different thing is that it empties the entire magazine in each accident. There are still several of these dangerous rifles in circulation that anyone not informed about their poor quality can buy and use without knowing the risk to which they are exposed. No one would expect that this company would have previously made guns like those. But you know what is true? The fact that if you're a subscriber to our channel, you become a great shooter. Why don't you try it out for yourself? Also, if you enjoyed this video, then why don't you check out this video where we discuss 5 guns that might as well save your life. Alright then folks, thanks for watching and we will see you all in the next video. Goodbye for now.